All right, the VIBE Edu crew is back, and we are Hot Mess Express as we are all dealing with some type of internet issue. So we'll see how this episode goes as we're on part 2 of a very, very important series, which is getting the most out of professional learning. So where this came up from, if you missed the first episode, we were looking at the school site space because right now folks are starting to look at their professional learning for the summer and, of course, going into this brand new school year. So this episode, we're going to talk about more on the state and district level. So I'm going to throw it out to whoever feels like they have the best internet to feel like they can talk about this topic. Kim saying no, it's not her. TJ, what about you?
I think my internet's fine. My computer's giving me some work for my money. I'll start us off and just say that if people are used to getting the site-based trainings and just getting the school-based stuff, you gotta think beyond that. And your state, your organization, whatever organizations you're a part of, they typically have ongoing virtual and live professional development available. And I would think about trying to get involved in that, participate, sign up to courses that seem like they would benefit you, and think beyond professional development that is done for you on professional development days. Professional development is our personal responsibility, not the responsibility of our employer. Our employer often does provide some professional development, but that is not enough. You need to get out there and do more, and your district and your state are great places to start. And the next session, we're going to talk about national, but we're sticking with local right now, district and state PD. Go out there and find what's available and do it.
Well, just to kind of hunker down on that, TJ, for those who are in a state, a lot of states have, a certain amount of PD hours that are required for you to remain under that licensure. And districts, I think now more so than ever, are really cognitive of that to make sure that they're providing the PD that's appropriate for your licensure. But to your point of like the local organizations or your state organizations, what's the benefit about joining something like that in addition to some of the PD stuff that you were just talking about?
I mean, there's tons of benefits. Being a part of something bigger than your home organization, being able to weigh in on the type of professional development that is provided, be able to see on the horizon, like what's coming down the pike. A lot of times there are early pilots of things that are coming down, whether that's going to be a new policy, a new program, a new tool. Just being in the know, I think, is critical. Finding yourself out in front, helping your peers who might not be in the know. But like, think about AI literacy, for example. We're going to need AI literacy for teachers. And there's already professional development happening all around the country, and in some cases, specific to states and state organizations. And that's where I would try to get that PD, especially since sometimes that's free. What we're going to talk about next time comes at a cost, even sometimes an out-of-pocket cost. But in this case, we're talking about finding the stuff that's local. And in many cases, there's no charge for you to be able to participate.
You know what? I was thinking, yes, think bigger, right? When I'm thinking about the listeners, think bigger than just what you're given, right? Because you are given professional development that, from your district or your school, but really the answers, when you go in searching, when you step out of that, just one step, right, to your state level, you do get the stuff that you really need, and that's going to pull you forward. And when you start to share that, then everybody around you, their brains start to unlock too. I was thinking too, yeah, I love an in-person something, but there are so many things offered at the state level that you can find online also, and for free. And it might not be, like, I know I've done sessions where it's like 5 sessions for free. You get the 12 and you have to pay a certain amount or something like that, but just a little to take in. again, I think, like you said, TJ, stepping outside of just your school, just your district, and going, what's really going to support me? That's where you start to really hone in on your professional development.
And Kim, something you said last time that I think we'll underscore and bring up again is that go deeper. Like if you see an AI course, take that plus 3 others. Just because you were exposed to something one time does not make us an expert on that thing. And so I would take the second level, take the third level. There's also often things that you can do to get a badge or a credential if you pass certain courses. And maybe we'll bring up, especially since I know Mitch does a lot of these, is online courses that are available again for free that are webinar style. And so maybe Mitch can talk a little bit about that, but that's the kind of thing that I would also be thinking, you know, before I get to that, we'll talk about it later or next session, that national travel piece. There's so many things we can do from right where we are at home.
Right.
I think it's worth noting that just a culture of professional learning. I don't know if you two follow TJ's fallacies of leadership posts over the weekend. It's each Saturday. When do you drop those, TJ?
Every Saturday.
Every Saturday. So I love those. And the one this last weekend was just this, I think it was this last weekend, the notion that when you get, there was of course more leadership focus, but when I get to X position, you know, whatever that position is, whatever that title is, that sure, I'm busier, I have more responsibility, like fitting in professional learning tends to stop when you reach this certain level of leadership. I think it's true for the busyness of teachers too. Like it makes sense, right? Especially if you're a parent, you got this and you got that, like there's no time, but it's more of a culture thing, a culture of learning. Like all of us, I'm go out on a limb, but I know I do this. If I go to a concert, I could go to a concert too, but if I'm at a conference, I always make a point to go to sessions that if I'm speaking at a conference, it's like, okay, well, what's here? I'm here. And sometimes, to be honest, I'll be like, it's kind of like throwing darts at the catalogs. Nothing grabbed me, but I'll still go sit in something and learn. You're like, wow, that was really interesting. And I'm learning something. So I think there's a culture of shift there where we have to kind of normalize the mindset around professional learning. It doesn't have to necessarily be professional development. They're the same, but you know, I'm going to keep learning, you know? Yeah. And I can speak to those classes if you want, but there's a lot out.
You give them a lot, right? As free resources, Mitch, you give your webinar, every other month?
Yeah. On average. Yep. Right around the next one's May 20th, but because the end of the school year is coming, we just did one. I did one last week, and it's only a month this time, but it'll be, you know, we'll be moving into summer. So, but yeah, it's packed full.
I'm tossing up to you, buddy. I'm hitting it to you. So let's spike it. Talk about it.
Sure. I offer really just kind of throwing goodwill out there. It's completely free. I've done them now for a number of years, probably 2 years. I don't know. And if you are working with students who are struggling with executive dysfunction, which is every teacher on the planet right now, show up May 20th, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour long, always stop on the hour, and I pack as much as I possibly can into that. And it's not some secret sales pitch or anything. It's just saying, hey, come and learn about this. And it's really interesting because I have people that come back they just keep coming back, and there's some repeat. I adjust it slightly, but that's that culture of like, okay, I'm just going to show up. I'm going to grab some colleagues this time and we're all going to go. Or sometimes it'll be like someone will zoom in, right? They RSVP'd and there's like 30 teachers in the room. They're in a classroom, things like that. So yeah, there's lots of professional learning out there, and you don't even have to leave your classroom or your house. And I always encourage, grab a colleague, because what's naturally going to happen is you're going to continue the conversation afterwards. Even if the conversation was like, well, that wasn't that good. At least you're talking about it. You know what I mean? That's not going to be my class. You're going to love my class. Come and check it out. Yeah. Bring a colleague when you're doing that kind of thing too.
Well, I think that goes to the community part, is what teacher was talking about too, because it's one thing to get a piece of information. It's another to walk it through as far as how you're going to make it work for your classroom or make it work for your school, make it work for your district. And that's not work you should be doing alone. It should be with someone else. And so it might be a community with an organization, or it might be your school community, but there should be a bunch of folks, hopefully, that you're connected with that are consuming the same stuff. So that way you're not on an island by yourself. And that also goes to the point of, if I'm looking to grow, then I better surround myself with amazing people that are also looking to grow. Like, that's why I have the VIBE Edu crew surrounding me, is because each one of you make me better in whatever I'm doing, right? And so that's why I think we all gravitated toward each other, is because we are like-minded, but we're also driven the same way. And so there are so many things that you all don't get to see behind the scenes as far as conversations that we're working through as a small community. But if you don't feel like you have that, then I'm hoping that as you're listening to this, you're seeking out, and that could be your state organization, or it could be something that's local, but you definitely need a herd, to Kim's verbiage, of folks that are going to, build you up, but then also help you in that implementation stage.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking, even if it's not the actual information, like when you're going somewhere or you're like learning something, sometimes it's not like the information itself that's making you think bigger. Sometimes it's just the experience alone that you walk away and you go, oh, I'm a different person now because of this. And I think one of the first times I really started thinking that way was going to something local. And I remember walking into this event and going, oh, I could totally do this, right? Like, okay, what does this look like for me? And talking to a colleague going, well, does this look like, do we just do this on our own? Do we do this with our school? Do we do it with just like our team? Like, what does this look like? And so I think when you're at events or you're at conferences or you're doing something online, whatever it looks like for you, I just encourage you to think bigger than the information itself. I think that's like a really big takeaway for me personally. I've always gone, okay, now what does this look like? What does this feel like, right? How can I embody this? It's not necessarily like the notes that you're actually taking, right? It's the doing later. The knowing is in the doing. You have to do something after. And so it is okay, I've been pushed here. What does this action step look like for me? I think that's just big. I want people like listening, really thinking about that.
I think for leaders too, if I could talk to the school leaders for a minute, or even teachers who have some influence over their school leaders, it's also having a bank and an understanding of what's going on in the state and what organizations are available and what's coming down the pike, so that you can send people out to those things and find the right teachers to be a part of different events, different conferences. I did that as a principal. When I was a principal, I tried to get my teachers involved in things like the National Teachers Institute through Yale, which was something that Delaware's connected to. There were all kinds of state initiatives that we could send. I could get substitutes and send people to full day trainings at the state. Now, Delaware's small, but literally people would go in person to these all day trainings that were available on anything from like doing professional learning communities better to teaching practices that were available, or a guest like a Mitch Weathers is in town because the Department of Education hired him to do executive functions, and we can send people to it. Then when I was an assistant soup, I did the same thing for my school leaders, assistant principals, and directors. I knew what was going on and the leadership development that was happening. In many years, we sent the most amount of women leaders to the Women Leadership Conference. We would have the largest group there. We would have the largest group at the leadership conference, the state leadership conference each year. And there are all kinds of organizations that you can get in with. So if you're a teacher and you think, like, just as an example, If you're a CTE teacher, there's ACTE, and that organization is available and does things for live and in person. So there's just a lot of things that you can look up, study, try to find organizations that are associated with your content area, with your grade level. And those things happen at the state level too. So whatever the parent organization usually exists within the state.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
And also say your regions too. I know that every state's a little bit different, but you know, for Texas specifically, where I was, we had Region 10 was mine, and they had to, I think TG, you made the point. There's a ton of things. You can just go on their website, look at their catalog, and then determine if the day and time works for you. And then all you have to do is sign up and attend. You know, and it was in a neighboring city that was close by, and it would just be obviously you setting it up with your school site as far as coverage for that and getting approval. But I can think of many things, especially during my leadership journey, of this is something that I know is going to enhance myself as far as those skills. And it could be teacher evaluation. It could be on a whole host of things, student behavior, where I know I'm going to need these skills, especially when I am doing things on the site to prove that I'm a leader, but then also to say that I had this training on my resume and of course in the interview process. So there were plenty of times that I got different PDs at the district level, but also in the region, where I was looking and being very intentional of saying, okay, this is something that I think will be beneficial to myself. Maybe not right now in this moment, but definitely in the future.
I think a good place to, because I can imagine someone listening thinking like, where do I even start looking? And state level, with national, we can talk about that next time. I found that, like you just mentioned, Josh, in Texas, they're called regions, go by regions. And like here in California, it's the county offices. And it depends on the county office, but some of them are doing really, I mean, they're kind of set up as like in this support role of all the districts housed within their county. But there's oftentimes like really underutilized, really good professional learning happening. In New Mexico, I've been working for a couple of years with, they're called regional education cooperatives. Same thing, big geography, districts in there. And they're not only providing, they're paying for it all. And so people, you got to get a sub and figure that out. And that's not always easy depending on your situation or where you're at. But there's a lot, they have a whole catalog that they send out and people sign up and come and learn. It's pretty cool. So I would just say, if you're kind of like, oh, I'm curious, look up your local region or county and just see if they're offering anything. I imagine they are.
I don't want teachers to feel like they have to be stuck, like pigeonholed into just what they teach also. Like 100%. I learned the most, which is why I'm doing what I do now, because I went to conferences for speech and language pathologists and counselors. And I was the only gen ed educator in a room of like, I don't know, 500 people. And I remember when they said like, you're a general education teacher, they're like jaws dropped, like the speakers, they couldn't even believe that I was in the room. And I learned the most from that. And then I didn't stop. Then I was like, is there something for special education teachers? Like, I want to know what they know about behavior. Like, I want to know what they know about social emotional learning. I want to know what they know about executive functioning skills. Like, I ate that up. And sometimes it takes you stepping out of your box that you're in, your little silo, to really start expanding that knowledge. So don't be afraid of that. I think even if you're a middle school teacher, you might want to hop down into elementary and see what they're talking about too. So you can kind of pull from that. I mean, all of those little things I think is like, that's where the growth happens.
I can't wait to talk about the conferences, because there's so many technical tips about what it takes to get like real learning from a national conference, but also just sticking with the local level. Take a team, like to Mitch's point earlier, if you're a school leader and you're going somewhere like a leader, even if it's just pure leadership for professional learning, take a few of your teacher leaders to that. Mm-hmm. And coming back as a team and having an understanding of, like, there's 3 or 4 people now on staff who have these skills and are deepening these skills. I just love that in pockets. Like, this group's working on this and another group's working on something else. And this group has an innovation strategy that they might bring up in a year from now if it goes well. Like, just having pockets of people learning in certain focus areas, I would say, is critical to the culture of the school and to the progress that you can make moving forward. I also invite, because we invite for our mailbag episodes, I'd love to hear from some teachers who are listening right now thinking, you know what? I haven't really done professional learning besides reading, maybe podcasts. I've really done professional learning for a long time. Mitch was bringing it up as part of one of the fallacies that I wrote about, but I think there's a lot of teachers who get into like year 7 to 10, and that's it. They're getting their school site-based professional development, and sometimes not really that. And I would call that a problem in our profession. So just think and reflect and reach out to one of us. We'd love to hear questions, comments, but I'd love to hear from somebody who's thinking, you know, I haven't really branched out past my own district in a long time.
I want to go back to Kim's point too. And actually this ties into what TJ was talking about, because I think that there's quite a bit of state conferences that you, like, for our listeners listening, if you just go and Google it, like put in your state and then put educational conference and see what comes up. And I bet you're amazed at some of the stuff. But to Kim's point of like getting outside of your comfort zone, I was an art teacher and I went to the Texas Technology, one of the biggest conferences in the state. It was TCEA. And to this day, that was one of the most impactful conferences that I've ever attended. And I've attended it multiple years, both as a teacher and as administrator. And some of the people I actually met there at that conference are some of my best friends still to this day. And which is crazy to me to think about, but it was also like literally life-changing for just one event. And so my point being is that sometimes the things that you don't realize are going to benefit you, your profession, are the things that are also the ones that are going to stretch you the most and may not make sense as to how this is going to align with your classroom or align with your future. But I can assure you that you're going to find something. And I think Mitch was talking about this too. Like sometimes you just go to a session not knowing what it's going to be, and then it's life altering, and it's something that maybe pushes you in a totally different direction than you even anticipated. And so, yeah, I just challenge anyone that's listening to go about conferences, not so much in your niche, but maybe seeing if it can expand in some different way.
The technology is critical in that one. I'll just double down on that. Like, anybody can go to a technology conference, and they do exist state by state. And then we'll get into some national ones next time. Kim.
I think well, first of all, hold on. You guys are clear. You're clear. I can see you moving right now.
There was a note that I saw that we are clear. So
I just typed in the chat.
Can you read that note to us, Josh?
No.
Okay.
That's a private chat. I've told you guys before that says private on it.
It does say private. It's true. I'll make a banner later.
Okay, perfect. Copy and paste it. So what I was thinking was, when you go to something like this, it is, yes, information and all the things and like what you do and the action steps, but it's also how you learn, how you learn best. Like, I know I do not learn my best learning. I'll rephrase it. My best learning does not happen when I am sitting there and I have to be quiet and somebody is like going through a slide deck and they're reading it word for word. I do not do my best learning through that. I do my best learning when I'm listening to you and you're just like talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. Like explaining, showing, doing, just like give me the real life things, show me a video, play something for me. Like that type of stuff I love. And I also love a good panel. Like I love to see people interacting with each other and laughing and just being themselves and not taking things so seriously. I know for me, that does wonders for me as a human, right? Like, yes, my brain and my action steps afterwards, but I feel like full. My soul feels full. And I know, that's why VIBE EDU is VIBE EDU, because I want people that come into that space to feel like energized and full again and ready to like kill it during the school year, not like, dragging their feet. Here we go again. Like that's completely flipped. So yeah, I think you learn more about you when you start to do stuff like this too. I think that's, worth noting.
Which I always kept like a professional learning journal, almost like diary, like a moleskin,
Yeah.
And I would encourage people to, because in your thoughts, I remember like being somewhere, having a coffee, or even driving and having to pull over and had some thought that came while I was thinking about some training or conference or something I had gone to, and just mapping your own journey over, and get a moleskin that's probably 2 or 3 years but just around your own professional growth and learning ideas, thoughts, that can be helpful.
I mean, I created an entire business around my thoughts and things that I had pulled from conferences. Like that's what I had. I just had all these things. And when I go back and I look through them now, I'm like, oh my God, teaching inside out. That's a whole business. Or trademark that phrase, or that's on a t-shirt. Like all those things that I've pulled from, it came from those diaries. Truly, it came from those diaries. That's like gold. That was really good.
And at a minimum, catalog what you do. So it might not seem like you need a new updated resume today, but typically people don't need the resume updated until they need the resume updated. But if you're cataloging along the way, you never have to get to a point where you have to update your resume. And that's not just for upward mobility. It could be for expansion, getting involved in something, applying to do a new degree program, being the person who you don't know who you're going to be 2 to 3 years from now. Let's set that up for success by cataloging all the experiences that you have, resume style, CV style, so that you have a record of everything that you've done. And what that speaks to administrators on, if you're moving like laterally to another school, is that you are a living, breathing, lifelong learner. And that's what we all want to bring into our school. And when you get that question, tell us about how you're a lifelong learner, you can literally point to the documentation and say, I've done all of those things on my own. I picked me to be a better teacher, to be a better leader, to be a better learner.
And don't, if I pick me,
Yes.
You should pick me too.
T-shirt.
You should pick me too. And if you're tuning in, these can be informal professional learning experiences as well. And I bring that up, like if you come to my executive functioning class on May 20th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, but in all seriousness, people will ask on the backside, usually not up front, can I get documentation? Can I have proof of attendance? And it's a certificate of completion. There's no money involved, so it's not continuing education units, which usually have to pay a little bit for that. Which you like our online course, you can get 3 CE units, right? But you got to pay for those. This is just 1 hour of professional learning. That's what it's documenting on, but it's a certificate of completion signed by me with the date. And if you just get in the habit of anytime you do that, some things you'll do, they may not offer that, but oftentimes they will. And you can just have that kind of record of what you've accomplished, which will to TJ's point, it will speak volumes. Like, why you? Well, here's one reason why me. I pick me.
Well, and if you're going to say you're a lifelong learner, you better have some evidence to say that you're doing well, more than what the district just provide you.
Yeah, and we're doing a book study right now with my first book. We kicked off last Thursday. It's big California state level. You don't have to be in California, but what's Josh doing?
Let's book study. Look at the bottom.
I have a banner.
Let's book
buddy.
study. Oh, gosh, a banner. Okay. And you can still get it. We're meeting 3 times. There's 2 more times. So contact me if you want to do book study, but everyone that's involved gets a certificate of completion at the end of the book study, same kind of thing. And this is that'll end up being 5 hours. So, and that you read a book. I mean, all of that's worth documenting.
It only took 29 minutes and 37 seconds for somebody to bring up book study on this call.
Right?
That's why I have a ticker now.
I mean, that's too long. We should have been 13, 14 minutes when it came up.
Yeah. Definitely look for book studies if you're in your professional development searching, because oftentimes they are, of course, virtual, and it can just be get a book, get to it.
Yep. We're doing one on June 16th. The runway for this one. June 16th, free book study, 1 hour, 3 p.m.
One meeting, or is it multiple meetings?
It's just one. It's just one meeting. Anybody who signs up for free can come and get us presenting on some of the tools from the book. That's June 16th. But yeah, the book study to me is I think critical. So you got it, Matt. We'll see you on May 20th, and we'll see you on June 16th.
Well, now that I know Kim startles so easily, we might need to have some more applause going throughout our episodes.
Crap out of me.
I was wondering what you were laughing at. I was like, is he laughing at Kim?
Yo, she almost fell down.
Today, it's just between the internet and you freezing. Yeah. I can't.
The applause. I have too many toys over here. All right. With that, Kim, will you do a quick update on what you are teasing out within your own podcast? Because it actually relates to the VIBE Edu event and gives just a little bit of a taste for folks.
Yeah. So I decided to unlock the VIBE Edu vault. I had recordings of all of our sessions from last year, VIBE Edu 2025 in Anaheim. And I thought, let's break it down so that you can get a little taste, and you can either remember, if you were there in person, just how incredible it was. And if you weren't there, you get to know, oh my God, you get to actually feel it, and you can hear people, you can hear the applause, you can hear us talking, and you can hear the incredible speakers. So our first one, our MC from last year, who is Dr. Richard Warren, we just released his on Unleashing the Bison. You will love it. It's incredible. If you're a deeply feeling educator, you might even cry when you listen to it. But he's the one that kicked us off last year. So head over to Unleashing the Bison, the podcast on Spotify, and start getting a little taste. But we'll have like our sessions, and I can't wait to continue to drop them out. It's going to be awesome. So leave comments, leave questions, and I can't wait to drop our speakers. Besides the 4 of us, we have other people and a new MC this year. So can't wait to drop that too.
Very exciting news. So keep updating yourself through that wonderful podcast, because you're going to hear a lot of beautiful content from last year's event, which hopefully will get you to head over to the website that's on the screen right now, which is teachinginsideout.com/VIBE Edu. And that way you can grab your ticket. And I think VIP is almost
sold out.
Almost sold out. I think we only have a couple tickets left. So hopefully when we are available on May 1st, that you are going to get in there quickly to grab your VIP ticket if you're interested. Otherwise, we'd love to see you for the general admin, which will be the evening of the 31st, August 31st. And so, with that, we're going to close this down for this episode. And then we've been teasing out next time we're going to be talking about, next week, we'll be talking about the national conferences. And TJ is chomping at the bit to talk about these. So it'll be very exciting. So we will see you very, very soon.